Okay, that's great. That's great to know. Now, what I will say is this, and I think this is going to be an important decision. Once the game is actually out, released, and you get the response and see how things is going, the momentum and stuff like that. If Sony comes to you guys, this is the one of my $1,000,000 questions. All right, because you know how I do. Okay, so
Yeah.
all right, if Sony comes to you and be like, David, you guys kicked ass. You made PlayStation 4 that much more successful. We would like to give you guys $100 million, buy you guys out. We want to own you, and we want to keep you in our exclusive. We want to keep you exclusive. We want to give you $100 million. Whatever game you want to make, here's your budget. AAA titles all the way, whatever you need. What do you say to a situation like that?
Well,
but you don't own your IP anymore because now they're going to be publishing it. So what do you say to that?
Well, wow. That's crazy. And is your follow-up question going to be, let's say the zombie apocalypse happens tomorrow? What will you do? I don't know. I don't know if that's even a possible scenario. And it's also weird for me because I have friends in Sony. Friends I made when I was making Socom and when I actually worked for Sony for a while.
Yeah.
So to me, they're less a company than the place where my friends work.
Yeah.
So I cannot imagine my friends, sending me $100 million and also knowing me say, but we're going to own your IP because one reason I'm doing the indie thing is, we have to own it and we have to control it because you don't put this much passion and effort into a game, certainly not starting an IP or a franchise, just to sell it. A lot of people were like, why did you ever stop making Socom? And there were a lot of reasons. But I will never walk away from an IP again that, I was instrumental in building. So I would say, well, why don't you give us 50 and we'll retain rights, but you get heaps of money out of it.
Wow, I'm telling you right now, David, just by that question alone and this entire interview conversation, which one, whatever you want to call it, man, it's I got so much love for you, it's ridiculous, my dude. That answer alone right there, is one of the reasons why I became a journalist, because I felt that the passion was missing in the game industry from a journalist standpoint. I felt that too many people were too picky about things. They was like, oh, I don't like the fact that the color is red over here when I felt it should have been green. And what I'm saying? It's I feel like they nitpick at so many things, and the real raw, the real love from back in the day, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis days, growing up just playing games for the sake of playing them, was missing from a journalistic standpoint. So hearing what you say from a development standpoint, that's some real shit right there. That right there is just spearheaded home to my heart, man, because it means a lot to know that element of people that make games still exists. You see what I'm saying? And that means a lot to me, because the same way you said that is the same way I feel from the journalist side. I'm a game journalist. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a gamer first before anything. You know what I'm saying? So it just means a lot to me to know that. It makes me want to go out and support the game that much more and tell more people about it, simply because of the person behind the product. You feel me? That means a lot, because when I buy into a game, that's one thing. But if I buy into the person that made the game, that means everything you do, whether it's good or whether it's bad, I'll still support it because I know where your heart is at. And that means, that's real shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. We're going to try not to make shit.
No, you got to make it hot. I'm going to call you out if you make something. I'm like, yo, David. We got to have a talk. You know this is kind of not right? You know what I'm saying? I have to call you out. But I'm expecting nothing but the greatest, nothing but the best. So I got a few more questions for you before I let you go. Now, the next question that I think a lot of fans is really interested in is, what is the timeline? You know what I'm saying? I know it's kind of hard to say, but what is the timeline that you guys want to get this out? The reason why is because PS4 is coming out obviously this year, and from what I was told from a lot of people in the industry, is when you have a new IP coming out, right, and you got a new system and everything, it's a 65% chance of that IP being successful when it comes out either alongside or within the first year of the birth of a new console. And then after the years go by, the percentage of it being successful kind of dies down. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, I'm not sure, but that just seems to be the trend of the industry for so many years. So what is your timeline on trying to get this out? And now that you reach your funded, financial goal, what's some of the pieces to the puzzle that you guys are attacking right now to make sure you can get this out within a respectable time frame?
Okay, sure. Well, we set the Kickstarter target at January 2015, primarily because we're seeing a trend in Kickstarter projects always being late. I think it's like 50% or some crazy number. Half the projects are delayed for whatever reason. So I said, I don't need that stress. Let's just put it out there really far. And then, if we can ship it 3 or 4 months earlier and hit that Thanksgiving, November 2014 target,
that's good.
That's a lot more reasonable. And unless there's a catastrophe in the office, that's I think a better date for us.
That's a better date. Okay.
Another reason to we've been working on different pieces of the game, animation, characters, early prototype levels, a lot of design, research, and all this kind of stuff. But there's always, we need funding to hire the guys who are going to rig the characters.
Yeah.
We've done characters, but we don't have the rig, so the animation's essentially useless until we can apply it to a character, target, and all this stuff. Yeah. So we're a bit ahead. We're familiar with the engine we want to use. So essentially our demo, I call it a demo. My friends in marketing say, no, you call it a partial vertical slice or prototype or whatever. Don't call it a demo. It's a demo to me.
Yeah.
But it's a partial vertical slice. I mean, when you see this demo, it's going to look like a finished game. Over 90% of the character animations, all of the controls, over 80% of the mechanics that will be in the final game are there. It's 8 versus 8 players. It's at least one map, probably maybe two, 2 game modes, one classic. If you played Socom, you'll recognize the flavor for sure, and something new probably. So when we show this, what we're showing is really appealing. But we haven't lost 5 months just trying to make a demo happen. We've put 5 months into production. So we're already 5 months in, which requires a lot of planning. But I'm fairly decent, going from the design to implementation with good results. So, and I also like to say that other publishers have, paid my salary so I can make the worst mistakes of my career, and I don't need to make them again here. So we're not exactly wasting a lot of time. And then finally, that statistic about, you have to be in the first year at launch and, you have less a chance of success at launching an IP. I think that's true, but at the same time, we started Kickstarter in like the worst possible month of the year. I mean, we started it during E3, idiots. And it was totally depressing. God, it's stupid. But we didn't give up, and the fans didn't give up on us. And we've been trending continuously upwards, and have exceeded our minimum funding target. And there were all kinds of people were telling me, "You're not gonna make it. It's impossible."
Hold on, whoa! There was people telling you that you guys wasn't going to make it.
Oh yeah. I got lots of mail about that.
Oh well,
and lots of people posting, nobody wants this, and I'm like,
clearly
what? People want this because
David,
we did it.
Check this out.
It's entirely thanks to the fans.
Check this out. If when we cut the cameras off, you give me those people's names, and I'll reach out to them. That's okay.
I wish we would.
No, but
I'm satisfied that we've exceeded the target, and we can make this happen. And again, we couldn't have done it without the sort of ardent, enthusiastic support of the people who want this kind of game.
Yeah.
So I'd say Yeah, maybe. You know, you have less of a statistical chance, but this is not that kind of game. This is an anomaly. It's an outlier. You know, and we'll have the benefits of, you know, a more mature PlayStation Network, and Sony's you know, online architecture will be more mature, and there'll be a ton of installed consoles by the point.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
You know,
definitely.
so we only have to reach a smaller percentage of PlayStation 4 owners. You know, so that's great. You know, whereas Socom sold systems,
definitely.
HR might sell systems, but we don't need to sell systems because the systems are going to be sold.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We can just ship.
Yeah, you know, that's true. Awesome. That's true. Now, for my final question, right? Now, this right here, I think, is one of the situations in the overall industry that I feel needs to be addressed, right? Now, you coming out, you know, with a war game and stuff, and a lot of these games, I hear a lot of people, they always talk about. I remember when Call of Duty first started and stuff like that, it was single player, you know, and it was all about the story and getting a hold of them characters and the emotions and stuff like that. But and nowadays, people feel like, you know, multiplayer needs to be in everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or a lot of people feel like, you know, without multiplayer, there's no true replayability, which is bullshit in my opinion. Because I play a single player story all over again, just like how I will watch a movie all over again if it really means that much to me story wise. So my thing is, I feel like we're falling into a trap this generation where developers are forced to do things they don't want to do just to try to survive because of this whole multiplayer thing. What I want to know is, because of the authenticity of the people around you and the story that you do eventually, you know, want to tell and stuff, what is, you know, your method or what is your game design vision on how a story should be properly told in the world of real war from a person? Because the Battlefield 3, I thought they did a decent job, but there's a lot of people that felt they didn't. Call of Duty, they got great cinematics, and Black Ops, I think, was a better story than Modern Warfare. But if you look at real war, truthfully, I feel Medal of Honor did a damn good job with storytelling, but with Medal of Honor and the image that it has in the multiplayer and stuff like that, it kind of fell back. I really, after playing games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, God of War, you know, a lot of these games, they got some, I mean, stories that make you want to cry as a game or something like that. Or if you want to go back to like Final Fantasy VII and certain stories that's embedded in our history as games that we love. I haven't really experienced it fully in a war game. And in real life, that's one of the deepest stories you can ever tell. People are away from their families, you know what I'm saying? People, your brothers that you work with and fight for is dying in front of you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I watch certain movies like Saving Private Ryan and stuff like that, it'll make you cry. It's real shit involved. What is your plan or your method from a game designer standpoint to kind of bring that reality to the consumer that's controlling these characters? Like, I would love to know your perspective on it.
All right. Well, what you've just asked for would be a GDC conference presentation. Because I could talk for about 4 hours. I'll try to keep it simple.
Okay.
Which I never do. But you can chop this out later.
All right.
Okay. Well, first of all, you have to immerse yourself in the stories, the location, the time period. And it's super, super important to understand this story from all perspectives. It's not just the guys, right, who have been deployed.
Yeah.
It's the enemy. Why are they doing the things they're doing? You know, because to them it seems perfectly right. You need to understand why it seems right to them. And then there are all the people caught up in the middle. You don't see a lot of their stories in games, but there are a lot of kids, you know, a lot of families who have no affiliation with terrorists or an insurgency or and are certainly not evil, but they're brutalized by war. And I think it's very important that you need to spend equal time telling their side of the story. And it's about economy of storytelling. I'm not a fan of walk and talks where you see talking heads and you're just on a rail and you walk for 5 minutes and they tell you the story. You can get a lot more emotion being very economical. So here's a for instance, right? You meet your character, and he's on the cell phone. He's talking to his wife, and she tells him to be careful going to work, and he says, "I love you." And he puts the cell phone in his pocket. We pull back and we see that he's wearing full BDUs and gear, and then he walks out the back of a C-130 and is airdropped into some country somewhere. Wow, I like that guy. I feel for him, and we spent this much resource-wise. It's about telling the story through the environment. Wow. And the way characters are portrayed. So one of the reasons I did a ton of research for Socom, and that's what I always do. This time I have people who will tell me their stories as well, but for a long time, the number one industry in Afghanistan was the manufacture of prosthetic limbs.
Wow, you serious?
Yeah,
this is
for
crazy.
Sure. And the Soviets, when they pulled out of Afghanistan, I think in the 80s, they left millions and millions of landmines, anti-personnel mines, and a lot of these were really colorful and they looked like toys. So all of these Afghani children would play with them, and they'd lose an arm, a hand, foot, or a leg. And then I got deeper into it, and I found out that even though it was the number one industry to manufacture prosthetic limbs in that country, they only came in 3 sizes, and it's you can't I can just imagine these poor little kids who are bleeding from where their limbs were amputated because they can't get a prosthetic limb that actually fits, which is really depressing. But if you saw a kid who was an amputee, had lost a limb to a mine, wearing an ill-fitting prosthetic, I think you'd feel sympathetic, and that tells a whole story right there. I don't have to go through this. Did you know the number one industry other than opium in Afghanistan is prosthetic limb manufacture, and they only come in 3 sizes, and kids play with the landmines. You just sort of pick up on all that emotion without actually having me talk to you about it. So it's that kind of stuff, and I would say, if you want to see this formula at work, there's a great movie called Battle for Haditha, and it's about what was once the sort of honeymoon town in Iraq, and the interactions between U.S. forces and people there, and just trying to understand how another culture works and how things can get out of control, and everybody goes in with best intentions, but war is messy, and I mean, just watch that movie. It sort of got overlooked because Hurt Locker was making the circuit rounds at about the same time, I think. Also a good film. But Battle for Haditha really made it clear to me.
Yeah, you make me want to watch that right now. I ain't gonna do front. Like, you make me want to watch that.
It. It's great. I think it's on Netflix. So it's like it from someone's perspective, the hero is the enemy, and from another man's perspective, the enemy is the hero.
Wow.
Man.
I can't wait. I can't wait for this game. So you don't understand. So like, oh my God.
Sure. But and that's the thing we have to understand. Our military men and women, our armed forces men and women, are our heroes, and they represent us. Do this very dangerous job that they do. And I'm not saying they're not heroes. But I just want to be clear, if people are thinking, whoa, that's not patriotic. I'm like, no, I mean, there are shades of gray, I mean, there's certainly the enemy that must be terminated, but there are all those people in between, and I want people to understand what war is like for everybody, not just the good guys, but all those other people.
Yo, that is amazing. Yo, I know I'm the only one in here right now, but I gotta give you a round of applause, man. Yo, David, like this is gonna be a kick-ass game. everybody that's watching this joint is gonna be a kick-ass game. This is a legend right here in the making right now. You know what I'm saying? He's doing something big. So I just want to say, like, thank you so much for your hard work. I'm gonna let you get back to work. Tell the team I said what's up, and God bless you guys, man. It means everything in my heart to see you guys like finally get this out. And when you guys is ready and promotion really start going in, please let me know, because I got some things we spoke about that. I got some things that I wanted to plan with you that's gonna be real big. So you got my support 120,000,000%, man. Word up. So on that note, I'm gonna let you go. Is there anything you want to say to the fans before I let you go?
Well, you know, I'm never going to be able to say thank you enough, so I'm just going to say it one more time now. Thank you. You've made me a very happy director and designer, and
much love,
it's going to be my full-time job to make you guys happy for years and years and years to come.
Yo, thank you so much. So that's David Sears right now, everybody. One love and God bless, man. H hour, we coming right now. All right, peace.